The Valve Index set the bar for premium VR, and it's still praised as one of the best headsets ever made. But now, whispers of its successor are everywhere. Codenamed Valve Deckard, this mysterious new headset is rumored to land in 2025 or early 2026, and the leaks are painting a picture of something seriously ambitious. Standalone gaming, SteamOS integration, next-gen controllers, maybe even PC tethered visual fidelity, the whole package. But before the hype train runs off the tracks, let's slow down and break it all down. Here are 10 things you need to know about Valve's next big VR play. Legacy of the Valve Index. The Valve Index still carries a reputation as one of the best VR headsets ever made. For many players, it was their first real taste of VR that felt premium. High refresh rates, sharp visuals, and a build quality that didn't feel like a toy. The fact that it came from Valve, the studio behind Half-Life and the creator of Steam, only made it more iconic. Pair it with Half-Life Alyx, and the Index became more than hardware. It was the first true system seller for VR. But that was way back in 2019, and tech doesn't stand still. Competing headsets like the PSVR 2, Meta Quest 3, and even Apple's ultra-premium Vision Pro have reshaped the landscape. The Index is still good, but the market around it has shifted dramatically. That's why Valve's rumored successor, codenamed Deckard, is such a big deal. It is about proving Valve can innovate again in a crowded, fast-moving space. Deckard has massive shoes to fill, but it also benefits from the foundation the Index laid. If Valve plays its cards right, this could be the headset that puts them back at the center of VR conversations. What is Valve Deckard? Deckard is the label insiders have attached to Valve's next VR headset. Rumors of its existence date back to 2021, when Gabe Newell casually mentioned that Valve was investing heavily in new VR hardware. Since then, leaks, data mines, and import manifests have fueled speculation that a proper successor to the Index is finally on its way. Unlike the Index, which was tethered to a gaming PC, Deckard is rumored to be a standalone VR headset. That would put it in the same category as Meta's Quest lineup, self-contained, portable, and not dependent on external tracking boxes. For Valve, that's a big philosophical shift. It signals a push toward accessibility and mass-market adoption instead of catering exclusively to high-end PC enthusiasts. Of course, the leaks aren't unanimous. Some suggest Deckard will still feature PC connectivity through DisplayPort or HDMI, giving players the best of both worlds, standalone freedom and lossless PCVR when needed. That flexibility would make Deckard stand out in a sea of either-or devices. At this point, Valve hasn't confirmed anything, but the smoke around Deckard is too thick to ignore. It feels less like if and more like when. SteamOS Integration. One of the biggest rumored changes for Deckard is its operating system. Instead of running entirely as a PC peripheral, it's expected to use a refined version of SteamOS, the same Linux-based system that powers the Steam Deck. That's huge for a couple of reasons. First, it means VR isn't the only play. If SteamOS on Deckard works anything like SteamOS on the Steam Deck, then theoretically non-VR games could run on the headset too. Can you imagine playing your flat Steam library on a massive virtual screen without ever plugging into a PC? It blurs the line between handheld gaming and VR in a way that feels uniquely Valve. Second, it puts Steam front and center. Instead of navigating multiple storefronts or fighting with third-party launchers, Deckard could drop you straight into Valve's ecosystem. That's both good for convenience and clever from a business perspective. It keeps players inside Steam, where Valve makes its money. If SteamOS really does come baked into Deckard, Valve could be aiming for a hybrid device, part VR headset, part portable gaming console. Standalone or tethered? The million-dollar question: is Deckard going fully standalone, or will it still lean on PC power? Most leaks point to standalone capability, but there are just as many hints that Valve won't abandon PCVR purists. Standalone mode would make sense. Meta's Quest devices have exploded in popularity precisely because they don't require a high-end rig. By cutting cords, Deckard instantly becomes more approachable to new players. But for enthusiasts, PC tethering is non-negotiable. That's where you get the full fidelity of titles like Half-Life Alyx or Sim Racers with insane visual demands. Leaked schematics suggest Deckard could feature video-out connections like DisplayPort or HDMI. If true, that would mean Deckard doesn't force you to choose, it adapts. Use it standalone when you want convenience, plug it in when you crave raw power. That hybrid model could be Valve's secret weapon. Instead of chasing one audience, Deckard might unite both. Portable like a Quest, powerful like a PC headset, and versatile enough to slide between the two. If Valve nails the execution, Deckard could be the first headset that genuinely does it all. New controllers Project Roy. Hardware leaks also point to new controllers codenamed Roy. At first glance, they look familiar. Ergonomic grips, plenty of buttons. But one key detail stands out: no tracking rings. Most current VR controllers, including those for the Index and Quest, use large rings for inside-out tracking. By ditching them, Valve is signaling a slimmer, more modern approach. That likely means improved tracking tech, possibly cameras on the headset itself, reducing the need for bulky hardware. Functionally, we don't yet know what surprises Roy might hold. Valve's Index controllers were innovative, with finger tracking and pressure-sensitive grips that set them apart. If Deckard's controllers keep that spirit of experimentation, we could see features that push immersion even further. There's also the question of modularity. Valve loves giving players flexibility. Just look at the Steam Deck. So the Roy controllers might integrate with Deckard in new ways: detachable setups, hot swappable batteries, or even compatibility with old Index controllers. Controllers are often the unsung heroes of VR, but if Valve nails comfort, precision, and durability here, the Roy setup could become just as iconic as the headset itself. Made in the USA? One of the more intriguing rumors about Deckard has nothing to do with specs. It's about where it's being built. In April 2025, shipping manifests revealed that Valve was importing manufacturing equipment for head-mounted displays and facial interfaces to the US. That suggests at least part of Deckard's production could happen domestically. Why does this matter? For one, it could shorten supply chains and improve availability. Anyone who tried to buy a headset or a GPU during global shortages knows how brutal international logistics can be. Local manufacturing would mean faster restocks and potentially fewer delays. It's also a statement. Producing Deckard in the US positions Valve differently from competitors like Meta, HTC, or Apple, who rely heavily on overseas factories. It could be a selling point for players who value transparency or want to support domestic tech jobs. Of course, manufacturing in the US often means higher costs. Whether Valve eats that expense or passes it on in pricing remains to be seen. Design and aesthetics. We haven't seen official renders of Deckard yet, but leaks from industry insiders like Stan Larocque, CEO of Lynx, hint at a quite amazing design. While that's vague, it's worth paying attention to. Valve's Index was one of the better-looking, sturdier headsets of its time, and a successor will need to feel equally premium. Early reports suggest Deckard will streamline its form factor compared to the Index. Expect something lighter, more compact, and less cable-heavy. Ditching tracking boxes alone would clean up a lot of clutter. Pair that with the rumoured ringless Roy controllers, and you've got a sleeker, more modern ecosystem. Comfort is another key factor. Long VR sessions demand weight balance, breathable padding, and adjustable straps. Valve has a track record of getting ergonomics right. And if they've learned from the Steam Deck's grip design, Deckard could hit that sweet spot of both comfort and durability. A wow factor is almost guaranteed. Valve knows aesthetics sell hardware just as much as specs. If the whispers are true, Deckard won't just play great, it'll look like the future of VR. Release date rumors. So when's Deckard actually dropping? That depends on which leak you believe. Most insiders suggest late 2025, possibly around the holiday season. That would put it head-to-head with new devices from Meta, Samsung and Google, making for a very crowded and exciting VR market. But there are conflicting reports. Stan Larocque hinted that Deckard might not arrive until 2026, which would push it further out than many fans hope. Valve hasn't confirmed anything yet, so the window remains guesswork. That said, the evidence of manufacturing imports in early 2025 suggests Deckard is at least in pre-production. Pair that with Valve's history of surprise announcements, and a late 2025 release doesn't feel unrealistic. Timing matters. Launching too early could mean rushed hardware. Too late, and competitors like Meta cement their lead. If Valve lands in the sweet spot, Deckard could steal headlines as the must-have VR headset of the year. For now, keep expectations flexible. But don't be surprised if Deckard shows up sooner than later. Price speculation. Nothing official yet, but leaks point to a $1,200 bundle that includes Deckard, its controllers, and possibly a few in-house demos or games. That's a hefty tag, putting it above mainstream headsets like Quest 3 or PSVR 2, but well below the Apple Vision Pro's eye-watering $3,500. The VR landscape has changed since the Index days. Back then, $1,000 was the entry point for high-end PCVR. Now, standalone devices like Quest 3 deliver solid performance. To justify $1,200, Deckard will need to clearly outclass the competition in fidelity, comfort, and features. There's also hope that Valve learned from the Steam Deck's aggressive pricing. If they manage to position Deckard closer to $700 to $900, it could hit a sweet spot. Premium enough to feel special, but not so expensive that only hardcore enthusiasts bite. Price will likely make or break Deckard's success. Too high, and it risks niche appeal. Too low, and Valve eats margins. Expect Valve to target the enthusiast crowd, but with a more accessible approach than its last headset. Game library and support. Hardware means nothing without games. And here Deckard has a massive advantage. If the rumors about SteamOS are true, every VR-compatible game on Steam could be playable on day one. That's hundreds, if not thousands, of titles. The bigger question is exclusives. Half-Life Alyx sold the Index better than any ad campaign ever could. If Valve wants to make Deckard a must-buy, it needs a killer app. A new Half-Life VR project, a Portal VR spin-off, or even a bold new IP could light the fire. So far, leaks have been quiet on that front, but Valve loves a good surprise. Beyond VR games, the possibility of playing flat Steam games on a virtual screen adds another layer of value. If Valve brings its software A-game, Deckard will carve out a space all its own. The games could make this headset legendary. So what do we actually know about Valve's next headset? Not everything, but enough to get excited. The signs point to a device that's more standalone, with PC-powered horsepower, all while tying directly into Steam's massive library. Sure, there are still questions: price, launch window, and whether we'll see another killer app like Half-Life Alyx, but Deckard already feels like a worthy sequel to the Index. If Valve nails the execution, this could be the headset that redefines high-end VR in 2025. For now, all eyes are on Gabe Newell and company to finally make it official.